Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews, the only series that can beat a dead horse harder than we beat our own meats. Now, you see, the reason I say that is because we're coming back to a beloved series that has gotten me quite a many views and quite a many happy times in this time. And if you're wondering what I mean I treasure the happy times over the views, specifically because the happy times in this series happen to be one specific salamander girl, and I will not stop talking about her. She is the cutest goddamn thing in this entire series, and the fact that she won and or did not, in fact, get to the highest reviewing, I don't exactly remember. I remember her being very high on it, but regardless of her spacing, she is number one in our hearts and mine. And if you don't follow what I'm going to say, then your hearts are going to be in a box in my basement. That being said, to this day we are going to be continuing reviewing a certain series. Episode 11, in fact, of Interspecies Reviewers, a series that goes to, I believe, 12 or 13, so the next one or the one after next should be the last one. But they've been coming out a bit sparse as of late, so we're going to go ahead and get into things. You see, this episode itself doesn't exactly have nothing. This has next to nothing. And one particular portion of this I did not in fact count because the amount of time that it was there was too sparse and there was no actual intimacy, really. There was kind of memes but less penetration. That being said, let's go ahead and get into the plot of this thing. As a little bit of a recap, on the last episode it ended with a certain demonic twink just kind of sitting in the middle of the bar, menacingly, waiting for you to approach me? Well, then after that, you see, episode 11 of Interspecies Reviewers starts off with a little bit of a backstory on what this man's been doing this whole time. You see, at first we show the reviewer, or the mystery man, essentially just sitting in that entire... Remember that glass tank full of all the succubi girls that were just like, you know, if you come in here, you're gonna die, but you're gonna die with empty genitals. And then they all proceeded to do exactly that. Well, this guy's in there by himself, surrounded by defeated women, and as a matter of fact, like I don't know what power move this guy is on, but he's on one of them. That being said, this motherfucker, I don't even know, I don't want to call him a Chad because he's very much a simp, and I don't believe those two things can intertwine unless, like, you fucking prove it. Unfortunately, this guy is leaning one side more to the simp and less to the Chad level, so I'm gonna have to revoke that card. That being said, he's there's the girl who like runs the succubi tank, and she's like, what's going on? Why is everybody on the ground? To which case, he's holding up the last girl with his penis. I'm not going to cut out that stunned silence because I feel like that speaks for itself. What does he drink? What is his diet? What is his workout routine? What is this man's? He's an incubus, actually, which is cheating. You see, an incubus is, in fact, a male version of a succubus, but on a different level. Incubi are more meant to give than to receive, unfortunately. Now, if you're wondering if that's coming from lore that I completely made up, therefore I'm going to go ahead and assume that's why. Because the female demons, succubi, in this series are pretty much the ones that go out and search for it. This dude just kind of like gives it wherever he goes. Like, succubi don't pay for sex. They like just ask and then it happens. This dude goes around paying for it like a simp loser. That being said, you see what happens is this guy, after going there and holding up a girl by the love sausage, he then appears in the bar alongside all the other characters and Maidry, who is straight freaked out because this weirdo shows up, orders one hard-boiled egg, and then just kind of gloats the whole time. To which case he's waiting for the actual reviewers themselves to show up. He then gets his wish. They all show up and they're like, what's going on? They're like, and then Materi's like, this weird dude's in here this whole time and he doesn't go away. He's been doing this for like 3 days. To which case, he then turns to them and tells them, luckily, now that you guys are here, I've done the only thing that I need to do, and we in fact have the right reviews. He's essentially gone to every single low reviewed place and given them 10 out of 10s, because if you look at the qualities the right way, then you can see what makes them shine in that particular sense. That being said, you see, on one hand, I don't want to be mean to people, so I don't want to call certain qualities poor qualities, because he reviews a skeleton girl and gives her a 10 out of 10. Now, I've been in that scenario where giving is like 90% of the thing, and that other 10% is like, I guess I can also be happy too, but I'd rather make everybody else happy. That being said, it feels like when you're going to like a brothel, you kind of like, you're there for you. I don't think this guy knows how brothels work. That being said, he's essentially given all the low-rated ones, you know, the fairies that 𝓗𝓮𝓷𝓽𝓪𝓲 didn't exactly get a good use out of, because some you can't really use a $100 bill on a vending machine because some things are too big and it doesn't work. That being said, he's pretty much gone to all of them and has given them 10 out of 10s because, and I fucking quote, this is from the episode itself, and I heard it once back when I initially watched it, and then I watched it again, and I still can't get over the fact that it was said in an anime. All women are queens. This came from an anime. It exists, it is out there. Crunchyroll may not be the ones who made it, but god damn it, I am still here for it. And it was said. That being said, it was also said by a guy who went to a whole bunch of different places, had an unfair advantage due to the fact that, due to being an incubus, you are a lot more inclined towards sex. And he also has the ability to reshape whatever part of his body he feels like, including the love sausage, to essentially being used regardless of where he is, allowing him to experience fairies to the fullest. That being said, it's a little bit of an unfair advantage for him and for others, and then he goes around doing such things. That being said, as soon as he said, all women are queens, I kind of wanted the halfling dude, like the little short fella that's always like really picky, I kind of wanted him to just like walk out with like a katana and just scream, if she breathes, she's a thought, and then just go nuts. Like, I wanted it to be one of those scenes where there's like no animation that's good for a while, and then out of nowhere they're like, hey, you want to go outside? And it's like the Toru versus Kana fight in Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. I wanted it to be like that, where out of nowhere the animation just went fucking berserk. I wanted that so much. Unfortunately, we didn't get that, but like, how awesome would that have been, just out of nowhere? But almost immediately after saying all women are queens, and also telling all the other people that their reviews are shit, I rewrote them, here you go. This guy's a fucking Redditor. That being said, immediately after doing that, his ex-girlfriend stabs him in the heart. Now, if I was a betting man, I'd say being an incubus lets you have some of the greatest sex in the world. On that note, I also don't think relationships go very well unless you're in a polygamous one. And based on records, I'm going to go ahead and say that those don't work out very well most of the time. If you're in a one at the moment and it's going well, good on you. I don't know what you're doing. Go with God. That being said, after being immediately stabbed, she then like, you spent all my money on brothels! To which case, he's like, but I only ever loved you. And she's like, that's fine. That's fine. I love you anyway. To which case, she goes to jail for an attempted murder. And we actually do learn to the fact that incubus have two hearts. One right here. Trust me, I rehearsed this beforehand. The heart is right here. I'm not fucking up that joke again. Too many people already make jokes about me being a lizard. That being said, they also have a second one that's much more powerful that allows parts of their bodies to stay inflated with blood for longer periods of time. If you know where this is going, you know where this is going. There's a reason the pelvis looks like it can hold large amounts of organs, because it does. And this one happens to hold a second heart in it. And his ex-girlfriend goes to jail for attempted murder, and he goes to the hospital so that he can probably have his heart unstabbed, which is medically advisable. That being said, after that, completely forgotten about. Almost like he never existed. Because it kind of goes back to just 𝓗𝓮 and all of them just being like, which place are we going to review next? And 𝓗𝓮's like, yo, I'm broke. To which case they kind of go back and forth with this kind of like decently interesting debate over how adventuring can be considered, because adventurers like to go off and do adventuring because that's their main source of income. That is their designated job, to which case they help out as much as they can. Delivery, assassination, and exploration, or protection, any of that sort of stuff. But in the off times where most things aren't being done at any points, you know how winter usually goes for retail workers, this period of time is kind of just like their work ethics. They pick up jobs that they're able to do for money that can cause them to, sustain their lives. But on that period of time, they're able to then leave to then go pursue explorations, and it is not work deductible, and it is not counted against them. You essentially don't get points for going back to adventuring if you already have a secondary job that you do to keep yourself alive in the meantime. That being said, 𝓗𝓮 is being deducted half wages because of the amount of time that he keeps going out, quote-unquote, adventuring, or more like reviewing, which falls under the category of adventuring, which means Matery and the owner of the bar is probably in some very hot legal water, because deducting pay due to being a secondary income for somebody's main source of income is, in fact, I believe, illegal due to the fact that they are adventurers first, workers second, because adventuring is work. It sounded a lot more interesting in my head and in the show, and I'm going to leave it there. That being said, they kind of go back and forth until the halfling dude actually does show up, and he shows up with a large amount of coin that he then gives to the team, himself, and 𝓗𝓮 due to the fact that, hey, I found an idea. And they're like, oh, what's this amazing idea? How'd you get all this money? You know how other people are reviewing stuff that we originally started? Yeah. Well, I put a copyright on that, to which case they now pay us a percentage of what they get from reviewing, from the money that they make, to allow us to do it. To which case I wanted them all to turn around and say, you fucking copy striked all the reviewers in the world? And he'd be like, yeah. And then they murder him immediately. I kind of wanted that to happen. That being said, it doesn't, and I'm kind of disappointed. So, they then take the money, and then they're like, well, I guess we got to think about what we're going to review, because now they all have a passive source of income when they're not essentially reviewing. To which case, they all kind of get drunk and just sit around like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And then they have an idea. There's an alcohol fairy. A fairy that is dedicated to them. I don't remember their names. I'm going to assume it's Scottish, because everybody knows if you want to get drunk, go to a place where they already sound like they're slurring. So, they then go, after they've been properly hammered, to a place that actually serves free alcohol, and they also let you pay for sex if you end up getting a little too touchy with one of the maid girls, who is in fact a drunk-ass elf. More like leprechauns, actually, because elves are a lot smaller. That being said, this is kind of where scene number 1 starts, because scene number 1 is so short that I don't even want to call it a scene. That being said, if I don't, I feel like I'm going to get very, very much reviewed badly for a hentai review that has no hentai. That being said, scene number 1, and the only scene of it, unfortunately, is 17 minutes and 40 seconds and goes all the way to 18 minutes, 20 seconds long. And it's like one of those, like, this is very much a hangover thing, where it's very quick. They don't know what happened. They wake up, all their money is gone, because being alcohol improves want, diminishes performance, unfortunately. To which case, they then spend all their money there, and they wake up with a whole bunch of reviews that were written when they were drunk, so they have no idea what the hell they said. So they can't really make money off that. So afterwards, they then go on what's called an adventuring binge, where they are like, hey, we can kill monsters. Let's go do that. And they go around and they just slaughter everything, be bodyguards for what they can, and then they make all their money back to then live out their lifestyle as needed. Now with a passive source of income because they copy-striked other adventurers. How does people who watch that be like, nah, we're going to skip that part? And then the episode ends. Was this the best episode that there's ever been? No. Was this a bad episode? Not really. Was this an episode that I found interesting for the implications that come along with it? Yes, there is world building that is being set, and I really like world building, especially in places that you don't expect it. Audio dramas where world building is very captivating, I love it when that happens. Hentai world building, you wouldn't think, but that's something I find so good. I don't know why, I really like that. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and end it there because I don't really do reviews for series that go this long. That being said, a very dedicated subscriber of mine has given me something very different to review, and that is what's known as a manhwa or a webcomic. So, I don't know how I'm going to phrase that review when it comes out, but I'm very interested. I'm about halfway through it at the time of filming this, and this is going to be a tough one. Thank you, man. You are a beast. That being said, I'm going to get back to that because I've got some stuff to do. So, until next time, I've been the Doctor. As you can tell, Kirby is watching, and if you don't do what Kirby says, you're going to be on this channel, and not in a good way. Then, let's go ahead and end it there. So, I've been the Doctor. Thank you, everybody, for being here. If you want to, subscribe. If you don't want to, that's cool. And until next time, remember, wash your hands. Wait. Have a nice day. Don't be a dick. There's too many of them. And wash your fucking hands. I've been the Doctor, and Kirby is watching. Peace.